Good evening out there in internet world. It is 7:03. Doing pretty good. 7:03. Started right at 7. Just getting everything up. Thank you. So anyway, welcome to Unmasked. I am your host, Jason Fortune. Unmasked is sponsored by Sage Collective, and that's the reason we're all here and all doing this. As always, Sage Collective is not a show, even though you're going to hear me stumble and call it that over and over again. It is not a show. It's not a show. It is a circle. It's a session. It's a space that I've built and created where we can all come together and start talking. And I started this platform month and a half ago now, and it's starting to take flight. It's starting to grow legs, and it's starting to work, and it's starting to do what it's supposed to do, which is reach people that need to hear messages like this. And tonight, for our first time, we are broadcasting across Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch, and I'm personally monitoring comments. So anybody that wants to pop online, say hi, say something to me, feel free. My producer and my beloved wife, Carol Ann, happy Valentine's Day, love. She is monitoring the comments as well. So if you need to be heard, you will be heard. Unmasked is not a place where we preach. It's not fixing. There's no hierarchy. I come to you from lived experience. I'm not a guru. I'm not going to give you 5 things to make your day better. We're going to have real talk. And when we have this real talk, sometimes the stuff I say, it's not inflammatory, and it's not meant to be so, and it's not meant to be shocking. What I'm here to do is to put voice to things that all of us think, a lot of us know, and not very many people say. So, unmasked. Tonight's show is mental health, the system versus the human. This is something that I've thought about my entire life. Something that is needed to be talked about. And before we begin, I want to say that I am not here to attack clinicians. I'm here to tell the truth about what it feels like when this system names you faster than it knows you. And that's what we're talking about. I still have a therapist, Lisa. I love her. I have a psychiatrist, Dr. Miles. He's a badass. I have my team too. But what I'm talking about tonight is when the number happens, when you're not seen anymore, and when the labels become bigger than you are. But before we get started, as always, what is it that we always do when we come to session? Every single time, we all sit down together and we breathe. Go ahead and feel wherever you're sitting, whether you're sitting in a chair, on your couch, sitting at your desk, laying in bed. Feel what is holding you. Feel how gravity is pulling you down. And now let's take an inhale through the nose, all the way to the top for a count of 4. Hold at the top. Now exhale through your mouth for 6 to 8 beats. Now I want you to inhale through your nose again. And at the top, feel that tension in your jaw. Start to exhale and move your jaw around as you're exhaling. Now for our third and final breath. A slow inhale all the way to the top. And now pull your shoulders up to your ears. Pull those shoulders up. And now exhale and start releasing them down. And as you get to the bottom, shake those shoulders out. Shake your arms out. fling your fingers if you can. Have a somatic release with me before we start our show. I'll tell you, I already feel better. I always come into this show kind of nervous, you know. I don't have much of a script that I work with. I have notes that I'm been putting together as I was thinking about this, but it's honestly right before I show, I feel like I'm in high school getting ready to go out on the wrestling match. Getting ready to go out on the floor with my singlet on and everybody's watching me. So after that breathing, I feel kind of tucked in and ready to go. Okay. So we're talking about what it feels like. Let me back up. Two weekends ago on Saturday night, we talked about addiction and how addiction wasn't the problem, silence was. Then Karma came on last week, and that was a great show to watch, was last week, because Karma came on and talked about the bottom-up theory on healing, and it's incredible, it's insightful, and after 50 years of trying to heal, the last 2 years doing bottom-up healing changed my life. So we had addiction last time I was by myself talking, and tonight what we're talking about is what usually goes along with those labels of addiction and substance disuse or substance use disorder, whatever those nice little labels are called. Mental health problems come with those. Let's go ahead and slip into something just a little bit more. We have any music playing yet? Sorry about this. I will come back to that in a second. I got to have my music while I work on this, because this is where we're getting to some deeper issues here, and I got to be able to have music while I'm doing this. So just give me a chance. I hope you guys can hang with me just a little bit. Okay, thank you. All right. When you get a label, and it doesn't matter what that label is, I don't care what it is, in your head, tell yourself what factor X label means. You have two realities at once. The diagnosis can be a helpful tool in classifying what's going on with you, trying to set up a protocol to help out, to set up a medication regimen, because that always comes with it. And the system often uses labels to manage risk, but it doesn't understand the person. What I'm trying to say is that label is so big and so huge that the person that label gets put in, we're swallowed by that label. Our personality, our feelings, everything becomes that label. Has he had a good day today? Has she taken her pills today? We get reduced. We get our sovereignty and our humanity taken away from us. The system asks you when this is happening. The system asks, what are you? What box fits? They start the checklists. They start the intake process to see as your little ping pong comes down and shoots down the little ping pong board where you're going to end up at the bottom and where you fit. Is that bipolar? Is it borderline personality disorder? Is it ADHD? The system asks, what are you? What box do you fit in? And the human needs. What happened to you? What did you have to do to survive? What did you have to become to survive? I want to take you back now, and we're going to go to the wide lens on this. I want you to feel the maze of what happens once this happens. And there's two people I'm talking to right now. One, you are like me, and you've had labels put on you, and I'm preaching to the choir. And maybe it feels good to have somebody online speaking to this. And if you're there with me, then we're in lived experience together, and I'm talking with you. And then the other person I'm talking to is our family members, our employers, our coworkers, our people we go to school with. So if you're that person, this is what this is for, that I'm doing this for, is to help you kind of understand what happens to us. I don't know. We've all talked about it. Maybe you've been in Reddit. Maybe you've talked to friends. I mean, we all know the health system is extremely complicated. It's convoluted. It's more brick walls than doorways. It is. You have to clear so many fiery hoops to get the help you need that it's a complicated process. You have long waits. There's scarcity in the healthcare industry. And I mean across everywhere, not even the mental health care industry, but healthcare in general. You can be having a mental health crisis just like you're having a heart crisis, a physical crisis, and you don't get to get in for weeks. We can all agree on that, unless it's a who you know game, and who you know somebody to help out. That's usually doesn't work in the mental health field. In the medical field, that operates a lot more. In the mental health world, that game is not played as much because they are so overwhelmed. It's an absolute war of what's going on with there, how many people need help and how little people there are. And the only people that can really truly get the help they need are the ones with the fat pockets, as always. If you can afford to just shell it out, then you can hopefully get what you need. Or maybe just find a doctor that will prescribe you whatever you need, because that's another reality of everything. But if you're somebody that doesn't have a lot of money, if you're somebody that doesn't have insurance, your back is up against the wall, and you're going to be treated like shit. One national benchmark on healthcare and mental health care puts average waits around 48 days. 48 days for behavioral health services. Sorry, not medical. We're back to the behavioral health. There's fragmented care. There's absolute fragmented care in mental health. No one owns the whole story. Substance use, there's substance use care. There's primary care. And crisis care lives in a completely different place with different people. So the crisis care people never overlap into your daily care or with your real therapist that you spend time with. You get bounced between systems. I get bounced between systems. I got to retell my story over and over and over again. And I have a complicated 5-decade story. I have literally been told by healthcare professionals, I don't have time for this. What do you need? And I'm not bullshitting. And I walked out of that office, I never walked back in. There's insurance barriers. There's administrative gates. Prior authorizations, network adequacy failures, reimbursement games. The reimbursement games are huge. Denials, that's another one. If reimbursement games and denials, you get a prescription for a medicine that's going to help you out, and the doctor gives you some trial medication for it, and it works. You think it works. Then you go to get it, and you find out your insurance company doesn't Insurance company doesn't cover it. Not only that, the prescription medication is $700 a month if you're lucky. And you have to cover this. And they tell you you need it. You need it to live a better life. And how about this that we do know? When they prescribe for prescriptions that are under patents, and they do cost between $700 and $3,000. They don't prescribe for the non-generic or the generic medication that would only cost a few dollars, or, in today's world. And why don't they do that? We know why. And then the stigma that comes along with everything when we take a label on, especially substance use disorder, addict, junkie, that when you finally take a label on and you accept it and you start working in that label, your friends and family pass it around. It's how we are as people, and we know that. Oh, did you know he just got diagnosed last week with such and such? Yeah, that's why, man. That explains a lot, doesn't it? Yeah. And in that moment right there, that friend you were just talking about, or that family member, just fell into a coffin, like I talked about 2 weeks ago. They fell into a container labeled whatever was labeled, and that container was a coffin. And that's where they died in. Spent their lives and died there. Once you do have this label, new systems get misattributed to that diagnosis, and real needs get missed. So you get diagnosed with the label, and all of a sudden you're that label, and everything flows through that label. And you have things over here that don't work with that label and don't fit. Well, that doesn't fit under that label. Sorry. We don't treat for that. We don't treat for this. You need to see somebody else about that. Oh, your insurance doesn't cover this. Your insurance doesn't cover that. You need to see this. You need that medicine. High out-of-pocket costs. And we all know that here. I am definitely not preaching to anybody new when we're talking about high out-of-pocket costs for healthcare in America. And in those, there's huge coverage gaps. Like I said, medication costs skyrocket. And all we do is end up working for this label, working for the people that facilitate that label. And then, like I said, in all of this, you need to see people, you need to see therapists, and you need to see psychiatrists, and you need to see these people, and you're taking medication, and the medication's not working, and you're calling in to talk to your psychiatrist, and they can't see you for 2 more weeks, but that's all right, man. We know you're having terrible side effects. Hang in there. We'll get you in and we'll get you adjusted. And then you better hope that psychiatrist isn't sick that day, or they push you, or whatever happens, because that is a real thing. Here's a good line that sums it up. Everything I'm talking about. When you're caught in the system, you're not just fighting your pain. You're fighting the process. When you're caught in the system, you are not fighting your pain. You're fighting the process. Now let's pivot. We've kind of set this up. We've set up the maze. We've showed you what it's like to wear a label. Bipolar, borderline personality disorder, ADHD. What else? How many labels have you worn? So, for me, first, they labeled me a drug addict. And what they saw in that was my coping. They saw the use. They saw the behavior. They were embarrassed. They were ashamed that the golden boy who had honors classes, played sports, was faltering. So, label, addict, alcoholic. And what got missed in that, and I talked about this. For anybody interested, you can go back to day 10 and 11 and 12 on YouTube. Find day 10 and 11 and 12, and I discussed this extensively. But what got missed when all this started happening with me, they missed the pain underneath. They never asked me what had happened or what was hurting me. I was never asked that. I didn't even know that I was supposed to be asked that. That wasn't something I was crying for either. I was just told I was a fuck up and an addict, needed to get my shit together, put me in a special in-house school for 42 days where I learned all about addiction and tough love. And they never asked me about the pain. Nobody knew my nervous system was already blown out. I had complex PTSD. That wasn't even a term back then. PTSD was something for the vets, and that was it. They didn't know that I was trying to take care of my nervous system, and neither did I. Last week on the show, Saturday night, Karma talked about the pressure cooker of life. And that pressure cooker, so your teenage years, everything kind of seems fun. I didn't even realize the trauma's happening. I didn't know I was carrying the trauma in my body. 20s, it starts to get a little bit worse. I picked out a lot of bad decisions, bad mates, pressure cookers getting worse. In my 30s, I get labeled bipolar. They needed something to put on me, man. When I was seeing my therapist, he says, you are a house on fire, going down a river, about ready to go over a waterfall. That's what he told me after my intake. When I went into therapy, honestly approached therapy and went in looking for help. They said, you're jacked, man. You go like this? Do you go like this? Do you go like this? Yep, I do. All right, well, you're bipolar. You're bipolar too. And I talked about this, but they saw the dysregulation. They saw my intensity. They saw my collapse. They saw my spikes and crashes. And what did they miss in all this? They missed my trauma, the context around my trauma, the safety that I needed, the how my body's alarm system was stuck on, how I was stuck in fight or flight. They didn't talk about my nervous system. I got a label of bipolar, I got a medication regimen, and I started that thing that I was telling you about, that maze started, and it was unbelievable. And when I was talking about that $700 medication before, my medication was $3,000 a month, and I had to be on it. Everybody was convinced I had to be on this new cutting edge medication that when you watch the commercial, the person was like dancing on a cloud, a thunder cloud, and as they were dancing, that thunder cloud just started moving down and going away, and whoa, healing, like the robe sprouted out and you were there. All you needed was this $3,000 a month medication, and I needed it every month. That was hard to jump through the hoops to make that freaking happen. That became my life, making that the medication I had to take, the secondary symptoms from all of that, not to mention I was still drinking, which wasn't good, but I mean, man, I wasn't being, what the problem was with me was not being taken care of. All these Band-Aids were being applied, and they were pretty horrific Band-Aids. They changed my personality, they changed me, they changed my creativity. I changed with those medications they put me through. And I'm not complaining. I'm bitching about this, and I am complaining, I guess, but this story that I'm talking about, this isn't anything that anybody that's been around anybody like me hasn't heard. We all say the same things. They put us on this medication that we go on. All of our family members and our spouses and everybody tell us that it's going to, we need this. You look like you're doing better, because they lobotomized us with medication, and now we're not on fire like we were. But they're like, you're doing better. You're healing now. And they keep you on this medication. And the whole time we're saying, this is horrible. I don't know who I am. I've lost myself. I don't feel anymore. And they're like, oh, that's how it is. That's part of the process, and you need to stay on it. You need to stay on this medication. That went on with me for a decade. I lost the ability to sleep. I lost the ability to dream. I lost a lot during my bipolar years when I accepted that label. Later on, I do not want to take the medication anymore, and nobody will let me get off of it. So I stop myself, and I wean off by myself with no help, because the healthcare system won't help me wean off of it. They want me to stay on it. So I have to wean off, and it was dangerous. The drugs that I was on and trying to get off of them, it was dangerous. So I get off of them, and I don't get any better anyway. I have complex PTSD, and I don't know it. I quit therapy because of everything that had happened during my bipolar years. I said, I'm never doing this again. And I walked, and things didn't get better. And I tried to heal during that time. I put the bottle down too. I went sober from alcohol and got worse, kept getting worse. Finally go back to therapy because I want help. I'm with my wife. I want to have a good life like everybody does. I want to have a life. I start therapy again. During this therapy, I'm telling her more about myself because I'm learning more about myself. My memories are coming back. And she says, it sounds like you have PTSD. Then I'm telling her more and more. We're talking, it sounds like you have complex PTSD. And I read about it, and I talk to my wife, and I spend some time. I'm very reticent to take on a new label, because with the whole new label is a whole entire set of complications. But I'm so jacked, I am hurting, and I can't heal. And this stuff is talking about things that actually make sense to me. It's not talking about I have a chemical imbalance in my body, and these are the only pills that you can take. I mean, that sounds beautiful, actually. Here, something's wrong with you, take a pill. Glook. So American. That's not how life is at all. And anybody that is telling you that, man, salesman, absolute salesman. So anyway, I take complex PTSD on because it makes sense, because it's about the trauma that I have had. And it's not about something that's wrong with me. It's about something that happened to me. And now it all starts making sense. And I'll tell you, during that healing journey, it's still complicated. I'm still trying to get in with therapists. Still trying to get in with psychiatrists because the medicine regimen changes to PTSD meds, which fit me much better than bipolar meds. I'm not lobotomized anymore. I can think. Trying to learn to sleep again, starting to dream a little bit. The label didn't feel like a death sentence like the others did to me. It more felt like a map. Felt like a map, and I could try to find my way out of this. And you know what? It was not easy. And anybody that ever tries to say that healing is easy is absolutely full of shit, and they're selling something again. Healing is the hardest thing I've ever done. It's the hardest thing you will ever do. To go on the greatest adventure ever and get to truly know yourself. To let your body speak to you. The body's always speaking, but to actually learn to hear what the body's saying. And you know what? It's not happy in the beginning. What you go through to try to learn all this, to try to get through this with therapists, it's difficult too. There is no unicorn and rainbow. There's no secret tunnel. There's no shortcut. But man, the CPTSD label, I will take that label on. I'll go ahead and wear that other label. The bipolar label, fuck off, bipolar. The addict label, fuck off. I'm not doing it. Don't believe it. We were wrong. And we have to grow past this. Simply wrong. I could go down that real fun path again that I love to kind of shake people loose with. The movie The Beautiful Boy. The movie The Beautiful Boy couldn't be more fucking wrong. All that is American myth making, putting that kid, the kid who plays the addict, putting him in the container and putting him in the grave. And at the end of the movie, he's just bawling his ass off because he doesn't know what's wrong with him. And his dad's sitting there not knowing what's wrong either. What a load of bullshit. Anyway, thank you for letting me soapbox for that little part right there. So in all of this that I'm trying to say is, to sum everything up that I've been talking about so far, when that label gets put on, the person is lost. Because of this weird thing we've done with humanity, and of how we've defined, of how we categorize and how we do things. When we give somebody a label, I mean, even the positive labels are, it doesn't matter. When you put a label on somebody, you've categorized them, and they've kind of are in that label, and whatever, idiot savant, overachiever, like, come on, we can keep going forever. Car guy. I mean, any label that you put on musician, it's fine. And I too, I'm an artist. I'm an artist. I'll wear that label too. But when you wear these labels, you will lose sight of that person. And that's what tonight we're talking about. And that's the point at 35 minutes in, 7:35 p.m. The point is, on Unmasked, is the labels lose the person. And I challenge all of you. I challenge you that of wearing a label to rip that label fucking off and make people see you again. I'm not saying quit taking your meds. I'm not saying don't go to your psychiatrist, therapist. I take my meds. I go to my therapist. I go to my psychiatrist. I'm not saying any of that. I'm saying do not let that fucking label define you, and be bigger than that. You be bigger than that. Don't let them push you in there. And those of you that are applying labels on people and pushing them in there, those of you that are judging them through their labels, shame on you. Fucking shame on you. Let that person out. Let that person live. That's a human in there. There's times that I can get hard on this show, and I know it. It's in my character to be this way, and I'm working on it. I know that kindness and love are the way to go, but at times I've been banging up against these brick walls for so long in my life that there's no banging against brick walls in me. I put dynamite against those walls and light the wick, and I walk off. But that's me. It doesn't have to be everybody else, and it doesn't have to be you. But what I am very much pushing tonight is don't let the label define you. Do not let that label define you. You are bigger than that. You are worth more than that. You have more to offer. And even if you don't know how to love yourself, and that's okay, that's not something they teach us. Nobody teaches us to love ourselves. They teach us to be selfless. What a wonderful word. They teach us to be selfless, and nobody teaches us to love ourselves. So even if you're having a hard time, if you're kind of meek, if you're not kind of aggressive and bold and full of fire and bullets, still do not let it define you. You can stand up, you can start talking, and I'm here with you, and people believe in you. There are people around you that believe in you and want you to bloom and come out of your shell. And that's what Unmasked is for, and that is also what Sage Collective is for. If you are looking for a place, I almost have the ecosphere built. And the website is up. You can learn more at sagecollective.care. But there's a place where you can come and meet like-minded people like you. Whether you are having a divorce and you're getting your ass kicked by it and you're depressed and you need to talk to other people who are going through that, or you have a cancer diagnosis and you need to talk to people, or need to talk to other men, or you want to talk in some women's groups and see what they have to say, or some PTSD groups, LGBTQ plus groups, we have coaches rolling into Sage Collective, and we are getting our schedules ready, and we're going to be very live soon. And there is a place for you. There's a place for all of us in Sage Collective, and the ecosphere can grow as big as it needs to grow. And I am excited to start sharing more and more about that with you. My wife will be on here and we'll be showing more of that comes up. But to cut back to what we were talking about, the label. Let me tell you a little bit about the label if you'll humor me. I became a checkbox, a code, a risk score, a compliance problem. A clipboard with my name on it and nothing in it that sounded like me. They asked for symptoms like a grocery list. They asked for dates, dosages, counts. They didn't ask what happened. They didn't ask what I survived. They didn't ask what my body learned when safe stopped being real. They asked, "Do you hear voices? Do you sleep? Do you use? Do you rage?" And I watched my life get reduced to a yes-no machine that spits out a label and calls it care. They wrote drug addict like it was an identity, like it was a personality, like it was the whole fucking story. They wrote bipolar like my nervous system was the villain, like I woke up and chose chaos, like dysregulation was a character flaw instead of a scar. They medicated the smoke, and they never looked for the fire. They treated my coping as evidence of my brokenness instead of proof that something broke into me first. And every time I tried to speak, the chart spoke louder. The chart always fucking wins. The chart is neat. The chart is billable. The chart is legible to strangers. My pain wasn't neat. My pain didn't fit in the margins. So I learned how to perform for all those people with pens. I learned the right words. I learned the right tone. I learned how to sound stable. Because if you don't sound stable, they don't hear you. They manage you. Thank you. The good physician treats the disease. The great physician treats the patient who has the disease. Sir William Osler. It is more important to know what sort of person has a disease than to know what sort of disease a person has. This is commonly attributed to Hippocrates, and I'd like to repeat that one again. It is more important to know what sort of person has a disease than to know what sort of disease a person has. Being able to feel safe with other people is probably the single most important aspect of mental health. And this is Bessel van der Kolk out of The Body Keeps the Score. And Karma recommended this last Saturday. And for those of you that don't know about The Body Keeps the Score but are wondering about trauma, that is a big book and it is overwhelming, but it is all there. All there. Want some more? How about a little bit more? The question is not why the addiction, but why the pain. That's by my hero, Gabor Mate. Regulate, relate, and then reason. Bruce Perry. That goes back to what Karma said when she was talking about the body up. Regulate. Get that nervous system under control. And that is not easy. That's not going to happen in a week, a month, a year. Get that nervous system under control. Get in with other people like you. And that's why Sage Collective is here. Get with other people like you and relate. Regulate that nervous system. Relate with other people. And then you can come up here and start reasoning. This thing up here, mind virus. It is. The default mode network carries all of our old cassettes that our parents put in our head. I put them in my son's head. You're not good enough. Why can't you be more like me? You don't have no hustle. All that shit sticks forever, and it infects our brains, and it informs the way we live. So you can't come up here and try to work out this mind virus we have going and tell it to regulate the nervous system down here. That's not something they're doing either. In therapy today, you go in and you go up here and take the medication and talk through your brain to try to regulate this down here. Regulate. And regulate is not the appropriate word. Befriend, love. That's what we got to do with ourselves. We got to learn to eat again, to drink water, to put ourselves first. When I say we, I mean me. I have to learn to eat. I have to learn to drink my water. I have to learn to take care of myself first, because if I'm not taking care of myself, my family suffers. This is what healing is. This is what getting all this is. They don't talk enough about this. And that's why we're here. That's why Unmasked is here, and it's not going anywhere. And that's why Sage Collective is here, and that is way bigger than Unmasked. Unmasked is nothing more than a megaphone. Sage Collective is where the healing is at. For those of you that are watching tonight, for those of you that are on replay watching this, here's some questions to ask yourself. And I'm talking to the people like me now. And you know what? We're all like me. We're all different variations of me. I'm just an extreme case, but we're all like me. What label got put on you that never felt true? Where have you been treated like a case instead of a person? What changes if you ask what happened to me instead of what's wrong with me? Let's do this one again. What changes if you ask yourself, what happened to me, instead of what's wrong with me? Feel me on this one. That's a big one. I'm going to do it a third time because it makes that much, it's that important. What changes in you if you ask yourself, what happened to me, instead of what's wrong with me? If this show hits, if you're watching this and you're thinking, this is me, this is my family member, this is my coworker, this is somebody I care about, none of you have to carry it alone. If you feel like you have a big weight that's resting on your shoulders, if you don't feel like anybody's like you and you feel like you're an outsider, go to sagecollective.care and start reading and start getting familiar with how all this works. We will have the doors open hopefully by the end of the month, and that's a lot to do with me, and I'm cool with this. If I can get all the doors open and everything ready by the end of the month, we will have guides are already waiting in the wings to facilitate sessions and let you sit with like-minded people in groves, people like you, and you're not an outsider. That's where I found my healing at, was in groves. And you want me to tell you a real quick funny story as we're starting to wrap tonight up? I'm talking with my psychiatrist this week, and I haven't told him about what I was doing because you only ever get 15 minutes with your psych, and nobody ever tells their psychiatrist about your life. That's the psychologist that you pay to listen to your life. The psychiatrist prescribes you those wonderful meds that cost. I'm talking with him, and I start telling him about my life a little bit, and I tell him what I've been doing, and I tell him about Sage Collective, and I tell him about group healing, and he tells me that when he was working over in New Zealand and doing his studies over there, whatever he was learning, that those people over there have much more communal healing wrapped in with the way the hospital works, with the way the mental health care works. There's much more people. When you are sick in a hospital, you meet with other people that are sick like you, and you get to talk about your cancer, your liver problems. You get to that. There's depression that goes with this stuff. So those people understand it, and they put him with other people that learn to live with this together. And when I told him what Sage Collective was about, he blew a gasket that this was going to happen in the United States, and that we cracked the code on making it virtual. So you're not getting in your car, you're not fighting traffic, you're not trying to get somewhere that somebody might not be there, something might happen on the way over. You just pull out your phone and your tablet and you log into our Discord server on Sage, and there's an entire ecosphere of people that are safe, that care about you, they care about themselves, they care about you, and there's facilitators and guides inside of there providing a safe atmosphere to heal in. SageCollective.care. It's the sponsor of this show. When we started SageCollective.care, we needed a megaphone to help get this out, and we decided this was a great way to do it, so I built a studio down here in my house, and we got to work. When I talk to you guys, I am not coming to you from a guru standpoint, and please don't think that that's what I'm doing, man, because I am not. I am coming to you from lived experience. I am in the trenches. I have been in therapy all of my life. I've tried all the modalities. I've worn all the labels. I've been through all the spirals up and down. So I'm not here to heal anyone. I'm here to heal with you. And you know what? If for those of you that end up in Sage Collective with us and end up in PTSD groups, men's groups, and grief groups, you'll see me in those all the time. You'll see me in more. But I built Sage Collective with my wife so I could be in groups. Her too. But we built it not to be the gurus. We're not going to be sitting on any pillows. We are going to be healing with everybody else. That's why this is here. I got a little bit burned out looking through Instagram and looking through Facebook and listening to everybody talk about the 5 this, the 3 that, and you can get on Instagram and type in some healing stuff, or go find some of those gurus, or use some of those hashtags to ferret this stuff out, and it all starts to sound the same. You can even hear the fads when they all kind of watch each other and kind of head this way and head that way, and that is not what we're here to do. We are here to talk about the really hard stuff, the stuff that nobody wants to talk about, like we just did tonight, like we did 2 weeks ago with the addiction talk, like I did on day 10, 11, and 12, I believe, or 9, 10, and 11. Anyway, it's there on YouTube. Hard talks. We are here to talk about things that people don't want to talk about. We are here to open spaces for people that need to come in and heal. And it's why we're doing what we're doing. So, for tonight, the system may label you, but it doesn't get to define you. And you need to remember that. Labels have boundaries and you don't. Labels have edges to them and you don't. You go outside that label quick. Don't be that label. Next Saturday, I'm not going to be here. I will be visiting my grandma, and I can't wait to see her. So, no Saturday night show. I'm going to come on some this week. I have some stuff to talk about. You'll see. I'll put it out there. I'm going to come on more tomorrow. Carol Ann and I'll come on. I'm going to come on more during the week. She might come on with me too. We're just going to kind of do some housekeeping, talk about things. There has been a lot of information shared over the past month, and it's fairly revolutionary, and it needs to be spoken about again. So her and I are going to come on and give some nice talks about everything that we've went through and what we've learned from karma and what all the exciting things are getting ready to happen. So stay tuned for that. As always, I'll be broadcasting on Facebook, across Facebook, YouTube, and YouTube is starting to do well now. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, everyone in the YouTube world. And Twitch, which I'm not getting much play over there, but it's okay. I am doing something. I think they think I'm pretty weird over there, so it's okay. And, I'm down. I'm not going nowhere. All of you Twitch people, I'll figure out a way to break through. I am tenacious, if nothing else. Feels like a real good place to end. Been broadcasting for 56 minutes. Sounds perfect. Can't think of anything else I really need to talk about. As always, thank you for spending your time with me. Whether you spent time with me tonight, sitting there having a beer on your phone, watching me on Facebook, it's Saturday night, wherever this finds you, replay or not, the only true commodity in this world that we have is time. And you spending your time with me, I take very seriously. It is an honor to be here with all of you. I will keep coming back. Unmasked will keep coming back, and it's going to keep growing, and I'm excited for all that. I'm excited to be here. I'm excited to see you in Sage Collective and say hi to you. And until we meet again, remember, please drink water. Please eat a bunch of food and take care of yourself. Please say no. Please hug the people you love and give them the kisses, because that matters too. And I am always here. If you need to get a hold of me, my email is jason@sagecollective.care. And I'll see you very soon.